6 minutes after 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. Good morning. This is Colatown. So happy you are with us. My name is Kevin Cohen, and Colatown, we start off by reminding you it's our city and our stories. And we are really excited about today's program. I mean, I get excited about all of our Colatowns, but this is one where we get to rekindle some friendships, and I'm excited about that. In the studio with us, I want to say hello to our police chief, Skip Holbrook, who is here with us for the first half of the program. And, Chief, pleasure and a privilege having you back here in the Point Studio. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Always good to see you. You know, I put a disclaimer out there. I have a genuine affection for Skip Holbrook. It's got nothing to do with professional, the radio and the cop thing. He's just one of the best people you're ever going to know, and I call it a privilege to call you my friend.
Well,
so I appreciate
likewise.
you.
Thank you.
Really glad to have you. And as you know, to you and everyone that works under you over at CPD, thank you. I mean that so sincerely, Skip, for what you guys do and the sacrifice and the willing to sacrifice, and just all the men and women who wear the badge and our first responders are my heroes. And I have genuine affection and love for you guys. And you're underappreciated, but around here, we really thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Joining us on our hotline, we want to welcome into the program someone that's got a few fans of his own. We want to say hello to someone that I have become a bigger fan of now more than I ever was, even when he was slinging it around as a great quarterback for Carolina. But Connor Shaw joins us now, and Connor is here with us on Colatown to talk about something that he's been through and something that he wants to make sure others can learn from and grow from. And Connor, it's great to have you here on The Point. Thanks for calling in today.
Yeah, good morning, Kevin. I wish I could be in studio with the Chief, but I appreciate y'all inviting me to call in.
Well, we're glad to have you. I appreciate that very, very much, and it's obviously very cool that you're able to be with us at all. I wish, like you said, that you could be here in the studio with us, but we'll get you in next time.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and get things started, and we'll obviously give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about telling your story, but I want to focus first with the Chief for a moment because we only have him for the first half hour, and I want to spend as much time as we can talking about what it is these days when it comes down to cardiac emergencies and things like that. One of the things Connor is working on us doing is trying to get defibrillators in all the different vehicles and that kind of stuff. And I just think it's important. How has the game changed over the years, Chief, when it comes to cardiac emergencies and training for law enforcement?
Well, we've come so far really in a short period of time. Police officers are often first on the scene, and a lot of times it's a medical emergency. We've taken on training just over the last several years in stop the bleed, Narcan deployments, tactical first aid. All of our officers carry first aid kits. So it's kind of been part of our nomenclature now to be ready to assist in a medical emergency when possible. But when Connor brought this idea of putting defibrillators in frontline vehicles, it was exciting to hear, but it was just a no-brainer.
Yeah, slam dunk.
Yeah.
And obviously, Connor, we're going to get to telling the story of what kind of inspired that in just a little bit. All this is tied into our Go Red Columbia campaign that we've been talking a lot about here, and we're going to get the city manager, Teresa Wilson, on with us also. I know that we've had events that have led up to where we are now. What I will tell you both, and I don't think either of you will ever have known this. My son, who's now almost 20 years old, he himself was born with a heart malfunction and required heart surgery when he was less than 2 years old. And thank goodness that it has all worked out very, very well for my son Jacob. But I mean, we've been very, very aware of everything when it comes to heart, and with Jacob having gone through things that we had no idea was coming our way when he was born, it was something that in fact. I know that we have an event coming up on March 6th with the Heart Walk for the city's Heart Walk for the March 5th. The day before that is what we call Heart Day in the Cohen family, because that's the anniversary of Jacob's surgery when he had his surgery 19 years ago. So anyway, it's near and dear to us and something we pay a lot of attention to with heart health in our family. But going back to from a law enforcement standpoint, Skip, I think it's really important. If you're the first on the scene, why wouldn't you want to have every tool at your disposal to help people that might be in distress?
Well, I agree, and this all just lined up perfectly. I've been part of the Go Red campaign for a number of years since I've been in Columbia, and it's always inspiring when they do the kickoff. You see how so many people just similar to you have stories just like you had, and then when Connor brought this idea to the city with through Prisma and his connection with Miss Wilson coming from being an alumni at South Carolina,
right?
Just listening to everybody talk in the room, it was just I knew this was going to be impactful for our city and for our police department, and the more I talked to them just about what I have seen with our first responders and their ability to be immediately on the scene and be able to immediately render aid, whether it's putting a tourniquet on or delivering Narcan, and now once this gets off the ground, deploying a defibrillator. I mean, it's going to change lives. It's going to save lives. I said next year when we do our Go Red announcement, I have no doubt we're going to have somebody providing some testimony about their life being saved.
Yeah. I see no reason why that won't happen. One of the things I find pretty interesting, Chief, is that you and I have had this talk before about technology and how over the course of your career in law enforcement, which is a pretty extensive career, how we've seen technology change so much in the way you guys do what you do. Now, there's the way technology is changing, catching the bad guys, okay. But in this case, it's technology where things are much more convenient, easy to use. You talk about Narcan, or in this case, defibrillators. These, a defibrillator now is something you can hold in one hand and carry it around and have it in a very compact place in a vehicle. I know, Connor, we're going to get you in on this conversation in just a moment, but this is something that we've been talking about through the whole Go Red campaign, about how many businesses should be adding defibrillators to their place of business also, because hopefully it just sits there and collects dust and only has to be checked for maintenance purposes. But if it's ever needed, it's completely a game changer what it can do to save lives.
Well, for some time, we've put them in strategically in some of our buildings throughout the city. And it only does make sense to put them where our frontline officers and firefighters are. But
sure.
I think it really was maybe once upon a time it was a cost and capacity issue. But you're right, the technological advances that we have seen just in the last 10 years. I mean, the equipment that we put in a frontline police car now is extraordinary.
Right. Talk about the training aspect of it, because I'm sure you haven't been down the road yet of actually seeing how your guys and gals will be trained with this. But I mean, as I understand it, it's not that hard to use a defibrillator, and from the standpoint, and maybe Connor can speak more about it, but the bottom line is this is something that just like you would do with the Narcan, whether it's giving shots or it's nasal or whatever it is, there's a training course, and then all of a sudden you've got officers that are there to make decisions on the fly.
I don't want to take all Connor's material,
yeah.
But I know he's going to talk about it. These particular devices that we're looking at, they walk you through it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I always tell my folks, make it dummy proof.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we'll come back with the Chief and with Connor. Stick around. This is The Point. Welcome back in. So glad you are with us here on The Point. This is Colatown, our city, our stories. And we've got in the studio with us our police chief, who's with us for about 13, 14 more minutes. We've got Chief Holbrook with us, and appreciate, again, Chief, you coming on in and hanging out with me face-to-face. Thank you very much for that. On the hotline, we have for you Connor Shaw, former Gamecock extraordinaire at quarterback, and now maybe telling a more important than football story. We're going to let him tell his story, and we're very, very much excited to talk about the Go Red campaign with Connor, the founder of the Heart Huddle, and we'll do that in just a matter of moments. And joining us now, we are also going to welcome in our city manager, Teresa Wilson, who joins us, and it is good to have you back with us, Ms. Wilson, on The Point. Thank you for joining us here on Colatown, and of course, take a moment, say hello to Connor on the phone and to Chief Holbrook, who is here with us in studio.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Hey, Chief. Hey, Connor. They're my partners on this whole initiative, so we're excited that, Kevin, you're allowing us to talk about it with our community.
Yeah, should be a good last 40 minutes or so. So let's talk about why this matters to you, Teresa. Why is this important, and why are you so involved with the Go Red Columbia campaign?
I know that every person pretty much in, my sphere in some shape, form, or fashion, particularly employees of the city of Columbia, have been touched by cardiovascular disease. It is taking lives every day. I think the stat is 2,500 lives are lost on a daily basis by cardiovascular disease in our country. So it's the number one cause of death for our nation. And so whatever we can do in our small way, which I think each year that we're putting more attention to it, we're finding bigger ways to make impact, particularly as we'll learn from the initiative with Connor's help. But I think this year it's almost like a call to action for us, because I think that we can learn how to be empowered and how to make a difference, because minutes save lives when it comes to someone who's in distress, when it comes to heart disease.
Yeah, no question about that. And Connor, let me give you a chance to start talking a little bit about Heart Huddle. What is? I mean, it's HRTHDL, and you put it all together, obviously. But tell us a little bit about the birth of Heart Huddle.
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, I'm glad to hear your son is fully recovered and doing well.
Thank
Kevin.
you for that. Thank you.
The first conversation that we all had with Mayor Rickeman and Teresa and Chief Holbrook was the common denominator was everyone had a very personal story related to heart health. And mine started a little over 5 months ago when I was coaching my son Decker in his 8-under flag football game, where I collapsed into sudden cardiac arrest, and very fortunate to where I was and who was there. I was at Graceley Park in Simpsonville, which was attached to Simpsonville Fire Department, and then Caleb Carter, who saved my life, he was coaching his son on the field next to me, who happens to be the rescue lieutenant at Simpsonville Fire. So they did CPR on me for about 5 minutes. I was shocked by an AED on the field 3 times, and that was sort of the beginning of my story. So there's no real playbook to handle those emotions, how I felt in the hospital, getting a EV ICD implanted in my body. There's a lot of confusion and fear and what happens next, and the next couple of weeks spending time with my family and then people reaching out with their stories similar to mine, heartbreaking stories. It was very obvious that, maybe I could have some influence, and I sort of went back into quarterback mode. And so that was the birth of Heart Huddle, which is a nonprofit organization that helps communities respond to sudden cardiac arrest. And so, this is a exciting and big venture that the city of Columbia and Heart Huddle are tag teaming, but it's not just us. I think, 300 frontline vehicles is a tall task, and I think people will step up to the challenge, but an AED costs $2,000. And so to put an AED in 300 frontline vehicles, that's $600,000. And that's our goal. And like Chief said earlier, the return on investment there is measured by lives being saved, and that's inevitable once we make this happen.
Which is priceless. I mean, the return on investment is priceless. I mean, there's cost to arming yourselves with the best materials and the best equipment, Chief, in our vehicles. But obviously, and this is not meant to sound cliche, we save one life. We've covered that investment. I mean, what we can do by being on that front line is remarkable.
Well, our reach is so far now. Every police car has a car assigned to them, and it's not just about when they're on duty. You think about when you see, officers that just like the situation Connor was in. They coach and attend, soccer games, football games,
sure,
baseball games. They're at festivals and road races, and we're everywhere all the time, and it makes absolute perfect sense.
Yeah. And Connor, in our second half of the program, after we let the Chief go and after we let our city manager move on, I want to get more into your situation a little bit more specifically, because I think it's important for people to realize we're talking about a world-class athlete that this can happen to. It can happen to anybody at any time, and so people need to be aware of that, and we'll tackle that a little bit more with Connor in the second half. But going back to our city manager for a moment with Teresa, I want to kind of ask about what's coming up, because March the 6th, I know, is a big spotlight move with the Go Red Heart Walk. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we are every year still focusing on exercise, small things that we can promote in the community as far as, we all say it, we need to eat right, but it's just little small steps too that bring attention to the campaign and keep it on the forefront of everyone's mind. I know, my story resonates, I know, with women, mothers, women in the workforce, and I try to be now a more visible example of what it means to pace oneself, which I don't do the best about, just like this morning, but because things come up, things come up with our children, things come up with our parents when you have aging parents, and all of the things. And I think if we're just sort of in it together, we're trying to bring attention and keep the conversation alive all year long, but particularly in the month of February and on into March when we do these activities that bring awareness. We're just so excited this year to have Connor on the team, being a champion with us, because I appreciate what he has said about opening himself up to having the platform. Some of us in the positions we're in, a lot of times I'm a private person, but I think when you get to that place where you're willing to talk about it, you realize how impactful it is to others. And so the events with the Heart Walk is just meant to bring more awareness. Also, the event that we'll have in Finley Park, where we hopefully can get Connor out there doing some drills with kids and families. All of these things are meant to keep heart health, awareness of cardiovascular disease on the forefront. And again, this year, to do a call to action for our business community as well to get involved. I mean, we're unselfish about this, unapologetic, and we want to raise this $2,000 per AED unit for each of these these police cars to be equipped. And I know Connor and the chief may talk more about the significance of that, is that they are sometimes the first on the scene. So that is why it makes such a difference. They also can be those partners with our business community to have their name attached to such a worthwhile initiative. And I know as a community we can raise these funds for 300 CPG frontline vehicles.
So folks know that the what's coming up, the Go Red Heart Walk, is going to be on Friday, March the 6th, which is right around the corner, believe it or not, just a couple weeks away at City Hall. And then we're supposed to have the Jumpstart Your Heart Day. That's been rescheduled now for that exact Saturday right after over at Finley Park, which, again, I know, Chief, that is a park that we're all very, very proud of having back reopened. And I know that while it's more responsibility for you as our police chief to police it, it is such a great thing for the city to have back open, to create more opportunity for people to get out and exercise and be families and do things like that and really enjoy our city in a positive way.
It has exceeded everyone's expectations. Yeah. I mean, it has been incredible. And every single day there are people there utilizing the park in some way, walking, exercising. There's the Prisma outdoor health station, the playground, parents with their kids. It is exactly what you would expect for a large city park. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Let me ask you one more thing, Chief, because we're going to hit our break here in a couple of minutes. I know you and our city manager have to get bolted out of here at about 9:30. So let me ask you this. Like with any phone call, when someone calls 911, response time is critical, obviously, and that's the difference between saving lives and not saving lives. This is a perfect example when it comes to someone, if you guys have defibrillators in the vehicles, perfect example of how response time can get cut down when it comes to getting someone care.
Well, Connor has spoken about it so many times, about just how each minute, the difference that each minute makes, and you're right. For us to arrive on scene and immediately recognize it's a cardiac situation, to have that at our disposal, where, as it stands right now, we would maybe initiate some CPR, but we're waiting on either fire or medic to arrive with their equipment.
Right. Yeah, and Connor, I'm looking very forward to you telling us a little bit more about the specifics of what that means, because again, 1 minute can make all the difference in the world when it comes to someone having the chance of still being here to tell the story versus not being here to tell that story. Chief, before I let you go, and Teresa, before I let you go, I want to make sure you guys each have one more minute just to kind of remind folks of why all this is important. And Teresa, I'm going to turn to you first on this one as our city manager. From the standpoint of speaking on behalf of the city, why is the city so concerned? Why does the city care so much?
Well, we care about this community. A lot of the things that people associate cities with is the day-to-day, which is true, making sure the trash is picked up and the water's clean and all of that, but we are a service industry for people, and our biggest resource are our people, our city employees as well, and more every year I firsthand see the impact that heart disease is having on them and their families. So we have a healthy workforce that we can get back to doing every day, also staying committed to the services that we have to provide. But we have to have healthy employees and healthy citizens, and that's the very first priority.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate you coming in, Teresa, and Chief, thank you so much for being part of it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You betcha. We'll come back our second half with Connor Shaw on Colatown. Stick around. Welcome back in on The Point. Welcome back into Colatown. So appreciative that you are part of what we're doing here on this Monday morning, this 23rd of February. Really love this program and the opportunity to talk to some of the leaders of our community, and a guy that's always been a leader with whatever he puts his hands on is Connor Shaw. Most folks know him, obviously, as a former Carolina quarterback. He's also a guy who's so family-driven and just gets it in so many ways. And he's with us now on our Groucho's Deli hotline. And Connor, appreciate you sticking around. I know you kind of sat through that first half hour, but I knew with the Chief and with Teresa there, I wanted to make sure that we got them their airtime so that I can really focus the second half of the program entirely with you. So thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of leadership, I'm thankful for them too, and Mayor Rickman, because of all the reasons they just spoke about, and Teresa mentioning a call to action. That's exactly what they're championing. So I appreciate the leadership there in the city of Columbia, and that's been my home for a long time, going to USC and raising kids there. So this is special for me to be a part of.
I know that you're a guy that's not afraid to talk about faith, and you're a guy that's not afraid to acknowledge. But the fact of the matter is that you're even here today talking to us here on Colatown is a minor miracle based on what happened and how desperate it got. I've heard some of your comments. Can you take us through what you remember about those moments and what you've been, I guess, what people told you that you don't remember?
Yeah, I was in and out of consciousness when I was in and out of VFib, and I can remember coming to and seeing Caleb straddled on top of me doing compressions, and I remember, fortunately, I don't remember getting shocked by the AED because that is a lot of joules, even though I did feel the cardiovert in the back of the ambulance. But, my whole family was there. My wife was 9 months pregnant. My 11-year-old daughter was there, obviously my 8-year-old son. My 2-year-old son was somewhere running around the field, and of course, it's a movie scene like scenario, and traumatic, I'm sure. But my story is about two courageous bystanders who acted swiftly to save my life, and very fortunate they were prepared, and that's what this mission is all about. And this is why I created Heart Huddle, is to, Lord willing, they're not ever having to be used, the defibrillators, but it's better to have them in moments in need, and every minute counts. And I've learned a lot since my incident 5 months ago on the significance of defibrillators and CPR. But the moral of the story is defibrillators, AEDs are very self-explanatory, and you don't need a CPR certification to save a life. So one of the programming with Heart Huddle is also teaching hands-only CPR, which should be a basic life skill, because, you never think that you're going to be in those moments. I certainly never did. But very thankful that I had people prepared to save my life. And that's been a priority for my wife and I since that incident, and for my kids. That's also something we've learned, is kids are very capable. I receive notifications around the country when a cardiac arrest happens. And I've heard more stories in high school and student athletes saving coaches and vice versa. And so it's a story that everyone, I think, can get behind, and it's an objective of a mission as possible.
It's kind of remarkable when you think about sometimes it comes down to right place, right time. We're trying to make it so that there's more right place, right time situations by having defibrillators on more businesses, certainly in the police cars, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, again, I'm not trying to go too spiritual here, but Connor, let's face it. I mean, the statistics say that you probably shouldn't be here right now based on the event, and the fact that you're here telling your story and using your story to try to get other people to get some awareness and save more lives. I love what you said in the first half of the program where you kind of went back into QB mode, because you've got this inherent ability as a leader to lead people, and they respond to you. And this is where you've got to use your name, and you've got to be willing to tell your story. I think it says a lot about you as a human being that you're willing to tell something that's pretty private to a lot of other people.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Teresa mentioned it as well. I like to be private, but I also realize the significance of my story. Number one, because it happens to a lot of people, and I'm here for a reason. You know, the survivability of the national average for decades is less than 10%. And so it made me ponder a lot of questions on purpose. And I've always tried to lead my life with faith as best as I can. You know, obviously Jesus' hands were all over this. We still serve a God that performs miracles of where I had to be and who had to be there. Like you said, timing of it. But I asked a lot of questions of, okay, if less than 10% survives, what does he want for me and from this incident? What can we do with it? And that's where I sort of went back to mission focused and said, okay, I'm going to leverage, embrace my story, and see the floodgates open. And I know he'll bless this mission. People have the innate ability to want to help. And it's a hopeless feeling when you're in a moment when you can't help or don't know how. And so that's all we want to do, is help people be more prepared to save more lives and create more survivor stories like mine, period.
Connor, and again, I respect the privacy aspect of this. You're a public figure already before this ever happened, so you're used to having microphones in your face. You're used to having to set an example. And while some other people that have been in your position as a quarterback or as a well-known SEC representative of a university might not be able to handle that pressure, you've always handled it very gracefully and with class, and been a tremendous ambassador for your university, for your sport, and for your family, and especially, as you mentioned, for God. So that's all why I'm an admirer that I am of yours. But I want to ask about the emotional side of this, because it's still yesterday, man. I mean, I realize it's 5 months ago, but it's still yesterday that this happened. I mean, do you have dreams, nightmares? Do you find yourself waking up in a cold sweat every now and then?
Yes. Sometimes it felt like last week. Sometimes it feels like a fever dream, and sometimes I have to remind myself, like, man, did that really happen? I'm an example that it could happen to anyone. I was metabolically healthy, 33 years old. I've never stopped training since I've hung up the helmet for the last time. The day before that incident, I was running 15 half-gassers out at the Park and Rec with my son. And so there were not many warning signs other than about 20 seconds of symptoms. And I was raised by two parents that were coaches, and so I've always had a resilient mindset. And it makes me wonder, too, if all of these things in my life, being an athlete, knowing how to respond under pressure, adversity, handling success, being on a visible platform, did all that have to happen for this to happen? I do know that we serve an intentional God, and, it's on us on how we respond to it. And so I'm just trying to do my part here and respond in a way that, like I said, creates more instances where they leave the hospital and they go home and they're met at the front door by their children who give them a hug and loved on by their loved ones.
I think it's important for people to realize what Connor just said. And again, I don't want to try to put words in your mouth. You said it as eloquently as it can be said, but sudden cardiac arrest. I mean, that is something that, and a guy that's in his early 30s, is a world-class athlete, has never stopped training. And even that, add to that the fact that you've been checked out. You've had medical exams because they were required while you were a football player.
That's right. Yeah, so most of my adult life being an athlete, I would get EKGs, echo tests, MRIs. Lord knows I've had many CT scans, and I've never had any red flags. And to further that point, I've had many tests post-incident of my cardiac arrest, and there are no definitive answers on the medical why as far as genetic mutations, underlying heart conditions. I have none of those. And so, I've always been a why guy. I like analytics, and I like film study and all the things where I understood where I needed to get better. And so this is, I don't know that I'll ever get a definitive reason, but the only reason I need to know is I'm still breathing, and this mission is going to impact a lot more people maybe than I even realize. And that's the goal. But yes, I'm an example that this could happen to anyone. Cardiac arrest does not discriminate on age or gender. But I also want to emphasize that my story is not to plant seeds of fear. My story, again, is about two courageous bystanders who are prepared and saved my life. And my story is an example of what can happen when people are prepared. And I've learned a lot. Like I said, the survivability is less than 10%. Most cardiac arrests happen in residential areas. We know that for every minute without CPR or defibrillation, survivability drops 10%. But the encouraging stat on that is when CPR or defibrillation is performed within those 3 to 4 minutes, the first 4 minutes, survivability jumps beyond 70%. And that's my story. Two people reacted quickly, started CPR within the first minute, and the AED arrived shortly after that. This happens. And one thing that I was not aware of is that this happens prior to my incident.
Right.
A week after my incident there at Graceley Park, middle-aged male drops from sudden cardiac arrest playing pickleball. You don't necessarily hear that in a headline in news articles or in radio shows, right? And so I'm a voice for those who may be under the radar, but we need to know that this happens. It happens more frequently than we want. But also, we can do our part to increase the survivability rate as well.
Connor, how did the partnership with the city start?
I've got a good friend, Anthony Jackson at Prisma. I received care at Prisma, and he's sort of served as an advisor on what to do from here. He's introduced me to a lot of the cardiologists at Prisma. I was able to go back to Prisma and thank the people who gave me and my family great care, and then I learned through Caleb, who saved my life, that oftentimes AEDs are not in police vehicles, and so that sort of led to a conversation that Anthony introduced me to Teresa. And we just had an open conversation about it. No real expectations, just talked about numbers, talked about what could happen if we were to be able to get AEDs in cop cars. Chief just talked about some of the significance, and when he has personal experience when he was in West Virginia, and they deployed AEDs in cop cars because of the opioid crisis there, and saw firsthand the utilization of AEDs in cop cars. There have been AEDs put in Greenville cop cars in 2023, and I bring that up because it's a great case study. The first year, 10 lives were saved. I think the AED was utilized 8 times in year 2 and about 5 or 6 in year 3. So it does happen, and Chief said this already, that the ripple effect and the extension of not just on duty but off duty, it's inevitable that they will be used.
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hold on for one more segment?
Sure thing.
Yeah, good. I'm going to throw you on hold for a moment. We're going to come on back, our fourth and final segment with Connor Shaw, telling, again, I've always been a fan of this guy. He is a guy that's just done it right. He's been such a great example for young people, and now he is using whatever name he has, and it's a pretty special name in this community. He's using it to save lives, which is even more important than inspiring football fans. Stick around. More to come on Colatown on The Point. Welcome back in on The Point. Welcome back into Colatown, our city, our stories. We've got on the phone with us right now someone that I've always had such a high level of admiration for, and not so much just because of the way he can sling it around as a quarterback for Carolina, but also just for the way he led others and continues to lead others and has always embraced the role of hey, look, I might not want the spotlight on me, but I understand that's what comes with being the quarterback at the University of South Carolina, and I'm going to set an example for kids. And Connor, I'm not trying to blow smoke. I've known you for a long time, and so you know how I feel about you, but you've always been such a great role model for young people, and I think that's, again, why God's got you here today, because you got an opportunity to use your name and to use your story for saving lives. And I mean, what's a bigger call to action than that?
Yeah, thanks for the kind words, Kevin. Exactly, that is the call to action for me. It's hard for me not to think about it when I wake up, my feet hit the floor. I have no doubt this is a large part of why I'm still here from my incident, is to embrace it and do what I can to create more survivors like me. So
you decide to get started with the city, and you form Heart Huddle, and take us through what's happened since. I mean, are you having people that have reached out from the Carolina community or from anywhere that have said, hey, what can we do to help, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. The outpouring of support has been humbling, and it's something that we are dependent on as well. And since September 17th, when my incident happened, we have been able to put 5 AEDs at Simpsonville Park in 4 different locations within the Parks and Rec, where, I dropped from cardiac arrest. We put them into a YMCA in Lawrence. We're working with the city of Malden to do the same thing, to put it in Parks and Rec, and also Fountain Inn. So kind of the bordering cities of Simpsonville where my incident happened. And then, with the city of Columbia, this is going to set a precedence of further equipping our heroes, people who save lives, people who protect and serve. And it's an exciting venture. We need businesses in the Midlands and people to step up like they have stepped up to help. In the history, it's a special place to live, and people take pride in the city of Columbia. And like I said, I'm grateful to be a part of it.
So if people do want to get involved, how can they find out more about the story? How can they find out more about getting involved? Because, again, this is great for getting them in police cars, but I would like people that are listening right now that are small business owners to think about getting defibrillators in their own place of work. I want everybody to do this.
Absolutely. A former teammate of mine, Patrick DeMarco, is a partner at Hustle Performance there in Columbia. They have 2 different locations. We just donated an AED to put it in there. So exactly. And there have been, Heart Huddle was built for grassroots, organic outreach for a mom-and-pop CrossFit gym in some pockets of South Carolina where it may be harder to get funding to get those AEDs, which are not inexpensive. But that's why it was built, is to equip as many people as we can. And where are the areas of need? And let's do what we can to support them and even create heroes within their own communities. So that's the goal. There's been some tremendous feedback and a lot of traction. And to answer your question, the best way to learn more about Heart Huddle and our mission is go to our website, HRTHDL.org, and you will learn about the initiative with the city of Columbia. We're building a coalition there in the Midlands to further protect our kids, our grandchildren who compete at all these different parks and rec, and like you said, small businesses as well. But you can learn more at our website. There's a place where, if it's on their heart to donate, there are links to donate, and there are categories such as the City of Columbia Police Department AED Fund and also Parks and Rec funds where we are putting AEDs and supplies and Parks and Recs throughout South Carolina.
You know what? DeMarco picked up a few blitzes for you. You owe him one.
He sure did. Yeah, that's fair to say, my friend.
Yeah, he picked up a few blitzes along the way for you as a fullback. So good stuff. Listen, I want to take one more question with you, and then I'll let you go. I'm just really pleased and privileged that you took the time to join me here on the program, and I want you to know, as I said to you, I've said it to you face to face. I've said it to you publicly. I'm a big fan of you for the man you are and for the person that you are and the leader you are. Forget about slinging the football and what you did at Carolina, which was special too. But what about just making sure people are getting their checkups and doing things to try to be as preventative as possible, not so much just having to be so we're reacting to these situations?
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up, Kevin. You know, my day job, my career is a health and wellness consultant. So there are some layers to this. And yes, I think anyone and everyone should have a PCP and go get their primary care each year for a lot of reasons. But just to get a baseline and understand the biometrics of how can they better support themselves. We get one body and one life, right? And so as much as we can do proactively to set ourselves up for success and to be healthy, the one thing is our health has the greatest ripple effect. It impacts everything that we love to do and everybody that we love. And so, you know, better health outcomes is the tide that lifts all boats. And in this scenario, youth heart screenings are going to be a program that Heart Huddle is going to champion with certain physicians around the state as well. The more we know, the better, and the more proactive and earlier we can understand if there are underlying heart conditions or abnormalities within a heart arrhythmia. Like that's information that we need to know, so you know it doesn't result in a surprise where you're in the back of an ambulance going to a hospital.
God bless you, Connor. Thank you for telling your story, sharing your story, and turning your adversity into something that's going to save lives for others. You're phenomenal. I really appreciate you very, very much, and may God continue to bless you.
God bless you too, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother. Take care. We'll talk to you again real soon. Connor Shaw joining us here on Colatown. Just one of the good guys out there, and I'm just a big fan of his. Speaking of good guys, Justin Stevens is here with us. He's the reason why we have Colatown. He is somebody that's been a big advocate for helping us to tell our stories here in our city, and Justin and I have become buddies, and I appreciate that you keep lining me up with people that make me look like I know what I'm talking about. Justin, Connor's just a dream of a guy. He's a really, really good human being.
Yeah, when we first heard Connor's story and his dedication and want to start something here with the city of Columbia, Skip Holbrook, city manager, they all referenced to it. It was a no-brainer situation. It's something we had to jump on, and we couldn't be happier with his dedication. And you know, he's always sending us stuff to post and to market out there, and he's just, you could see the passion in his work. Well,
and again, everybody needs a calling in life, and he's got plenty of things he's still doing. He was a very busy dude before this ever happened, but as a guy as spiritual as he is, you could just see that he feels like there's a new calling and that there's something he needs to be doing in addition to what he's already doing. He's a very busy guy. He's got a successful business, and he's successful in his coaching, and he's got a bunch of kids and a family to lead and all that stuff. And yet now he wants to give back to his community in a different way. And you know what? That's good, because he's been given a second chance that a lot of people, certainly statistically, Justin, don't get. So again, I love that he's doing that. We're going to mention his Heart Huddle site again that people can go and donate to. But I want to tackle with our last 4 or 5 minutes here with you about what's coming up on the 6th and the 7th of March. Because I almost consider it a blessing that the Jumpstart Your Heart Day, I'm sorry that it was postponed because of weather, but now we kind of get a chance to tie it right in to the city manager's Go Red Heart Walk.
Yeah, you got a chance to kind of double up on the weekend.
Big weekend, yeah.
So on Friday, March 6th, will be our third annual City Managers Go Red Walk, where we're going to be starting at City Hall, meeting at City Hall at 10:30, kind of getting the group together at 1737 Main Street, City Hall. Then we're going to walk down Main, get to Taylor, cross on over all the way to Finley Park, and end up at the stage where we're going to hear from some speakers, survivors. Going to have a chance to get information and just a great chance to fellowship early afternoon in Finley Park. And then the next day, we have our Jumpstart Your Heart day party, which unfortunately was rescheduled due to some nasty weather, and we're going to have some activities and some grass. So, we thought we needed some dry conditions to better hold this event. But we're going to have Prisma Health on board, Breakpoint Cola doing some pickleball, plethora of exhibitors and information tables for you to learn. And we're going to have some great fitness activities from our Drew Wellness Center, where we had the event the past 2 years, but of course we're going to have it in the park this year. So anything from Zumba to fit, just to kind of get your heart going. Nothing too strenuous, but a chance for you to get moving and have a good time at the park.
these are all things that the city. I mean, look, the fact that this fell into our lap with Connor and Heart Huddle and all is a blessing, because it provides a little star power to bring some momentum to what we were already doing here in the city. City's already been very active in trying to educate, but I love the idea of trying to get these defibrillators into all the police cars. I think, again, he gave an example of a case study right up the road in Greenville. They've been doing this for a little while. They've saved lives. I mean, what is the purpose of responding to a 911 call if you're law enforcement, if not to be there to serve your community? And this is an opportunity for Chief Holbrook and his team over at CPD to get a little extra training, have a little extra equipment. The better we can equip our first responders, the better off our community is.
And you said it earlier in the show. You hope to never have to use it. But even if you just use it once, it's completely worth the price of it.
Absolutely. All right. Website for the city and all for the events?
Yeah, columbiasc.gov. You'll see it on our main page. We have a Go Red kickoff event there, so check us out.
Thanks, Justin. That's Colatown right here on The Point. Thanks for listening.